Good afternoon, everyone. This is Coach Bronwyn from Ladies of Hope, the next chapter. And it's wonderful to be with you this afternoon. You know, we are in the month of August celebrating Women's Month. I want to say to the women out there this afternoon that we are not just celebrating you, but we are honoring you as women. This afternoon, I've got such a phenomenal lady next to me. My guest is no other than Mrs. Valencia Kamies. Valencia, welcome.
Thank you, Bronwyn.
Valencia Kamies is not just a beautiful lady born and bred in Kimberley, but she's a beautiful woman that survived life against all odds. She's a woman that I definitely know today can stand on a word that I would say is strength. It's not just strength that comes from anywhere, but it's strength that she had to learn and not just endure, but process. Am I right in saying through your journey? But Valencia, this afternoon, I'd like you to tell me, who is Valencia Kamies? If you look behind the title of mother, of wife, of daughter, of aunt, of niece, of a friend, a sister in the church, but who is Valencia Kamies?
Yeah, all of those, I think, Bronwyn. So I can say I am a wife.
Yes.
I'm a mother to two beautiful kids, a son and a daughter, and then I am a daughter myself. I'm a sibling, sister to my older sister and brother. I'm an employee, and I'm somebody that serves. I'm someone that fights for the underdog. I'm a student, but I think most importantly, I'm a survivor. I think I'm a warrior. Wow. That's how I see myself, yeah.
June the 26th, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Exactly this year, 5 years ago. Something happened. There was a change that transpired in your life. And this change is something that happened that I know has changed the rest of your life. Am I correct in saying that? Can you take us through what happened on June the 26th, 2021?
Yeah, so obviously, as you know, 2021 was, we were all in lockdown, COVID was heightened. I think there was a point where the restrictions were lifted, we could go out. And then actually the 25th, I remember it was a Friday, and I didn't feel okay, but like, you know, your body will tell you. And I said to my husband, babe, I'm not okay. If I'm still feeling this way, I'm going to go to the doctor. And then I went on the 26th of June, I went to test for COVID. In fact, then the results would come almost immediately within 24 hours. I think the Sunday I was still waiting. The Monday, I then went back and I could hardly walk from my car to the doctor's rooms. And he said, oh yeah, no, it's positive. Just to realize that they switched my telephone number at the lab. That's why I didn't get the results. And then the number 5, actually, you'll know the number 5 symbolizes grace.
Yes.
And 5 days after my test, I was then admitted to hospital. And when my husband called the ambulance, they were like, do you have a hospital? And he said, no, what do you mean? And luckily we had a family friend in Bedfordview, and she said, oh, there's no space, but bring her, even if she's in the passage. And I remember, obviously with lockdown and the restrictions, what was it, curfew or whatever? My husband, I didn't even know, he followed the ambulance, and he had slept in the parking lot that evening. It was a Sunday night, and I think it was the 3rd of July that I got admitted to Bedford. And then I passed out after the doctor put the drip on me, and I woke up in the ICU being resuscitated. And like it's like it was unspoken, asking the nurse, did you just do that to me? And I'm telling you, the patients literally came and went. And when I say came and went, you'd see the undertakers come, they close your curtain, and you know we've lost somebody. Like that person was just next to me. And that's how it went. every day, the whole day, 24 hours, people just dying, and the sounds, And I think on the 10th day was when those riots started, the unrest, July unrest, and they were saying that they're burning Eastgate. So nurses couldn't come in or leave the hospital, and I remember management coming to work. And that's when I could feel that I was struggling. Even breathing with the oxygen, with the poly mask was a bit of a problem. And they then intubated. And the doctor said to me before that we're going to transfer you for some treatment. But I remember my husband and my mom came to see me before. So obviously they must have said to them, we can't guarantee this. So, but we're sending her to Flora because Millpark wouldn't accept me because I was on the ventilator for too long. And they were going to send me for this treatment. But then already I contracted DVT, deep vein thrombosis, where you at risk of experiencing pulmonary pulmonary embolism, which could stop your heart, or your lungs could affect your lungs. And then this treatment is called ECMO, extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, where I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what was happening, and it was almost as if my mom and my husband was coming to say their goodbyes before I got intubated. And then I got transferred on the 10th day to Flora. And obviously, hearing afterwards, he said to me it took them almost 6 to 8 hours for them to transfer me from the hospital bed onto the there's like a specialized unit that transfer you because of all the machines and the pipes that I had. And he followed the ambulance on the highway, so it was like he said there was nothing happening. Everybody was in lockdown after the curfew, and he followed them to Flora. And there was a point on the highway where they slowed down, and he thought something went wrong. And I got admitted to Flora. I was placed on that treatment, and I was on ECMO for 15 days. So ECMO, like it says, it extracorporeal membrane oxygenation. They drain your blood. So I had a cannula in here, so those transparent or see-through pipes in the groin and in the leg. And we were 5 patients on this treatment, experimental in South Africa, but they use it globally for people that are awaiting heart and lung transplants. And so they drain your blood, they put it through the machine, they oxygenate the blood and pump it back to your body. And out of the 5 patients, I was the only one that survived. So hence saying I'm a survivor of ECMO. Or there's a group that we have globally, it's called ECMO Warriors. I'm part of that group. So, but then I was unconscious for probably for that period. Most of the time I was unconscious, and then I picked up the virus, bacteria in the hospital, and I had to be isolated within the thoracic ICU. Obviously, a lot of people experience the fog in the brain, so I had a neurologist that treated me, cardiothoracic surgeon, and I think at that point I must have also had another event where I probably almost stopped breathing, and that's when they did the tracheostomy. I had a feeding tube, which they obviously fed me through, and then they had to change it because you can't have it for too long, and they put a peg in me. And so that was the time there. I was literally paralyzed because of COVID. I was on multiple levels of oxygen, different types of machines trying to keep me breathing. So and then when I eventually came to, my husband would visit, and my mom would come as well. And I think I had my son come one day because he was a bit older, and they must have thought that I've lost my marbles because I was asking them about this dog, and we don't even have a dog. But I dreamt of this puppy, little Labrador puppy that my husband bought, and this dog is running throughout the hospital. And I'm saying to him, why are you bringing this in the sterile environment? Me still thinking that I'm at risk of contracting whatever. And they must have thought that this woman is crazy. But I suppose it's all the medication and the drugs. But like I couldn't speak. But yeah, eventually, slowly but surely, I got physio and I had speech therapist. But I was still completely dependent. And it's almost like you don't think about it, but being somebody that's independent, that does everything for yourself, now you're reliant on caregivers that must bathe you, they must clean you, you must ask for a bedpan because you literally can't do anything for yourself. And in that, I'm just thinking, like to a point where one of the older physios had said, she's gonna battle in step down, now the rehab. But at night I would lay and try and move because I was literally like dead weight, And eventually when I got discharged directly from the ICU to rehab. And I think because of everything, I befriended a lot of the caregivers and nurses because they became like your family, because your family couldn't come in and visit. And slowly but surely, obviously not being able to sit up because I lost all my muscles, my nerves got damaged. There was a point where they took me from the bed and put me on this, where they rotated to a certain point for you, because now like you've lost reality of what gravity is, and they brought it about to 60 degrees, and I think I passed out because that's how severe, just laying, and eventually got into a wheelchair and started physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and got stronger. I was in rehab for about 3.5 months, and I remember they wouldn't discharge me in a wheelchair because they wanted me, they asked me, do you have stairs at home? And I said, yeah, I've got stairs. And they had this little makeshift staircase, but it was so hard because the lungs was so weak and I didn't have endurance to even climb on one step. Eventually I missed my daughter's 11th birthday. I remember they called me, but I said to them, I'm not missing my son's birthday because he was turning 18, I think, in November. And I actually said to my husband, I'm gonna let them discharge me. We actually, we made a joke because some of the patients says, we're not in rehab, we incarcerated. There's no such thing of discharge. We need to check for release dates. And that is when I started turning to humor, Bronwyn. So, and I always say, use humor, because mentally, with everything that happens, it can damage you mentally. People just laying around having experienced death. I got discharged on oxygen. I had a walking frame. Eventually, I still had my oxygen, and I'm in the business of sales, so I need to be driving all the time, and I couldn't do that. But then I think when I got home a week later, I said to my husband, help me into the car, and he said, you're not allowed to. I said, no, I need to at least know that I can drop my daughter at school. So I think that mental willpower. I think there was a young boy in rehab with me. He was like my son's age, and I actually said, he just laid there, and I said to him, you need to get up, show your parents that you're at least trying, and you then come to the dining room and sit. And I said, show them that you're no longer laying in the bed. And I think that also gave me the encouragement where I would see patients gave up on themselves, without that mental willpower. If you don't do it, it's not going to happen for you.
So what I want to ask you, I want us to speak about the incubation part. What happened to your mind there with the incubation part? And how long were you incubated?
Well, like I said, I got intubated on the 10th day.
Yes.
I had no oxygen. But I don't know what happened. I didn't know what was happening. I just thought when they told me they're putting me under,
Yes.
this is now my last. Not being able, I didn't even see my kids. They were not allowed to because of, I think we were in the height of COVID, the Delta, I had the Delta variant. So I don't know. I can't say, but I can say that you hear everything when you're unconscious. People think that you don't know what they're saying to you. You hear every bit of whatever is being said, how you're being handled or manhandled, if you want to call it that. I remember a lot of things that sometimes you wouldn't want to speak about it because not all of it was good. But I do remember, like, my husband visiting, my mom visiting. Like, you dream a lot. Sometimes you hallucinate because that's what the medication does to you. Like, they call it ICU psychosis. So I heard after the fact, and people would talk to say that it's almost like this is the miracle, like she's the only one that made it out, kind of a thing. Because I never knew what ECMO was, but it saved my life.
And you were only 5?
We were only 5 patients at the time at that hospital, yeah.
And were they still alive?
No. Well, from what I heard, I was the only one that made it. When I was at the hospital, for the time I was hospitalized.
So something as simple as breathing, Valencia, became something that changed your life.
We take a lot of things for granted, breathing being one of them. So, like, because I had to relearn that, something like blowing your nose.
You had to relearn that.
Doing it for yourself, brushing your teeth. Like I'm saying, we take things for granted. Going to the bathroom, I mean, that obviously we take pride in our dignity, our human dignity, and having to rely on people to do that for you. You feel embarrassed. It's almost like you're being degraded to nothing, but at the end of the day, you need to realize that there's people out there that sacrifice their own lives to take care of you. So, I mean, hats off to my caregivers. They really went out of their way. They had families that they would go home to. Sometimes they worked these shifts. So it makes you appreciate things more. Like, when you look at somebody in a wheelchair, you don't realize the struggles that person faced. I was in a wheelchair. Like, being able to use a bathroom, it wasn't possible. I had to ask for help. And we're so used to doing it. We're independent. So those are the little things in life that we take for granted. And then you found new respect for things like that.
And how did you, like you said, you had to relearn just little breathing techniques, how to brush teeth, how to blow your nose. So what did you do consistently every day on your own without the help of caregivers, where you said, I need to do this, I need to teach myself on a daily basis and have my own little bit of breathing technique or, just help myself. So what was that?
Listening to your caregivers. I mean, something like drinking water was a technique. Because of having the tracheostomy, you're at risk of high aspiration risk. You can aspire, you can choke on whatever. So you had to listen to those things, like the little exercises they tell you to do. You need to, I did that for myself, just trying to move. I mean, I was, like I said, my body was almost like dead wood. I couldn't move, but I practiced that in bed when nobody was looking. Saying to myself, I'm going to walk again. Not realizing the extent of the damage, but just mentally pushing myself to that next level to say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get out of here. And I would look at other, like my fellow patients, and it's almost like I said they gave up. And you try and encourage them and say, you know what, let's get up and go to the gym. That's what we call the area that we went for physio. You know, so you can only do that mentally if you're not in that state to help yourself. Nobody else is going to do it for you. And to have the support, like I had my family, my husband, my mom and my kids. Those were the close-knit support that I had, that I constantly spoke to my siblings, even though it was on a WhatsApp call, video call, just to see that. But some people don't have that. I remember one of the patients, his family didn't visit him. At all, but he was such a nasty person with the nurses. And then you say, but I wonder why. And even befriending the staff, you know, because they became my family.
Yes.
You know, whoever is there for you, lean on those people and get that motivation to say, I need to get up and do this for myself as well.
What's the one thing that you can tell me that you've learned in the rehab that you'll never forget? It has changed you from the woman you were to the woman you are now, because I believe the rehab was, I would say, was like your crutches. It's like if I don't get up from here, I'm going to die, or I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to get up from this wheelchair.
I'm not going to get better.
I'm not going to get better.
I think, Bronwyn, it's, for me, you can't feel sorry for yourself.
Yes.
You know, and that's why I said, it happened. I'm in that situation now, but I can do something to change my circumstances or to change the position that I'm in. So that willpower to want to do it for yourself, you know, that mentality to say, I'm gonna be better, I'm gonna come out of this, and you must want to do it for yourself. I think, and it doesn't matter where. Like I said to you, I was in a spinal unit across the roadway from me. I could see our addictions. We also had neuro and mental, you know, and then you look, people just sit there and let the hours pass. But I think you have to be determined. Like people who say, I'm going to take you to bacon outside, I want to go there. Because I'm not a baker. I said, take me to the gym.
Wow.
I'm going to walk again. I even said to them, take me to the kitchen. Let me go and teach the chef how to cook. You know, that, to say that, and befriend your surroundings, or almost like adapt to your surroundings. Because like a lot of people, they almost put a wall up, but those people are there. You need to know that those caregivers, yes, it's their calling, but they're there for you. They're there to assist you. So embrace it.
So you became very consistent, and you were driven. You were driven through faith, a lot of faith, because it's the only thing that carried you. We spoke about this earlier, is faith, you know, that carried you.
I always say, COVID got me, but God had me. And I think being brought up and raised in a very religious home, and that's why I say, I think my faith carried me, knowing, I think you must have seen, there was the one, when I first got admitted to the first hospital, I literally held on to my rosary. I'm Catholic, obviously, so, and I would pray the rosary all the time.
When you're speaking about time, Valencia, what does time mean to you today?
A Jewish physician in the first hospital, I had a Muslim physician in the second, Christians, Hindus, they all looked after me. At the end of the day, we serve one God, and He's the only one that knows our path.
And when you left the rooms of the rehab, what then happened next?
Oh, you know, obviously I went home. But listen, let me tell you, I went back to thank each and every one of them. My physician, where I started, he was in tears. He couldn't believe that this is the person that I sent away to a second hospital, and I wasn't going to give the family that. I think for them also to see that how far. And then I think I went still with my oxygen. Similarly with the second hospital, I went with my oxygen, dragging that oxygen. And my cardiologist, they were like, when I went for my follow-up, they were in tears. They actually left the room, and I thought maybe there was an emergency.
Wow.
And they're like, you're the first one that was on that treatment that we treated that made it out, you know. And my cardiothoracic surgeon that put me on that treatment, I actually went looking for him for months until I found him, just to say thank you. Even the rehab staff, I went back. And you know, there's these hospital sounds.
Yes.
The machines, it beeps.
I wanted to ask you about that.
I told you I was resuscitated manually, remember? The other patients, they use this machine on them. It's called a Murphy machine.
A Murphy.
Murphy.
Okay.
It plays the sounds, and then you hear, it says stand clear. That's when they shock the patient, and then you hear the doctors calling time of death, and that's how it went. So all of those things, it obviously, I don't know, maybe my mental willpower is strong, but if you speak about these things, it makes you stronger. You know, you need to tell people that there is help out there. There are good people out there. And me listening to those sounds, you think people would say, did you go for counseling? Yes, but me listening to those sounds, it's like, how can you listen to that? I said, no, it's reminding me of where I come from, and it's boosting me to where I'm going, you know, to say I've come from there, but I came out of that stronger, you know, because those sounds are not good. I mean, I actually made a recording of it, and I did a little video for a TED talk that I did, and I started with those sounds. And any person that's just laying there and trying to give up, it will be the end of you. But I came out of that, and I would listen, this is what I heard, and I would speak about it and tell family. And they're like, did you ever get, I said, yes, Tree of Life. That was our counseling. We had a session, and I actually then turned around and said to the social worker that we had and the psychiatrist, like, I can't do this. I don't want to hear this negative. I mean, I even stopped watching the news and the TV at that time because I didn't want to see any negativity, because at that time it was just death. People opening up mass graves to bury the people from, well, they couldn't even go to their funeral. So I just said to them, enough of this. I don't want to hear this. But in this Tree of Life, they make you plant this lemon tree. And obviously it's part of your occupational therapy where they try and rebuild the muscles and the nerves. And I planted my tree. I think my tree is standing this high. It's now almost 5 years. So you see the growth in the tree, and you see the growth in your own life changes. So
Valencia, there's another pertinent question that I want to ask you. Spiritually on this journey, there's a lot also that changed inside of you. Yes, physically there was a lot that happened, mentally there was a lot that happened, but you were on a spiritual path as well. Can you take me through that?
So, like I said, Bronwyn, I had a very religious upbringing, and that's the only place that I can turn to always, you know. I make God my compass. And I think, when I got discharged from rehab, we were still in partial lockdown or restrictions. And that was the first place where I wanted to go. It was a time where we couldn't be in close proximity, and you had to book to go to church. And I think we didn't book for a mass. And I said, take me. I needed to go there. And it was myself, my husband and my kids and my mom. And we went on a Saturday evening because we thought it wouldn't be as busy. You won't believe it. With my walking frame and my oxygen, the guy turned me away. So now here I am trying to get that spiritual absorption of what I needed at that time to say, thank you, God, for giving me a second chance. I felt defeated at that moment. Because now I can't go on my knees and say thank you. Even though I couldn't go on my knees, I had a problem, but I just wanted to be there at that time. But let me tell you, that first time when I was able to go to church, it was as if everything, I just let it go right there. And the tears started flowing. And yes, it brought me closer to God, because nobody else can give you a second chance. Like I always say, Psalm 139, and I continuously harp on that psalm. He knows the plan. Only He knows the plan.
So I want to ask you this. On this spiritual journey, your relationship with God, grew much closer. It's obviously at a point now where you can talk to your Father about anything.
Yes.
Here we are in 2026, Valencia. 2021, this journey happened. We're in 2026 right now, right? What do you think happened to Valencia then? Whatever your takeout out is now, what do you think that duration of 5 years changed inside of you?
I think it made me stronger. Yes, it brought me closer to my Maker, and it strengthened my religion even more, my faith, because I always say my faith carried me through this. But it's not going to be perfect, like we were at school together, Bronwyn, and our teachers would always say, God only helps those who help themselves.
That's true.
So no matter what you face, whatever adversity you meet up with, you have to still do it. It's not going to just happen. So yes, I got a second chance, and the one thing we never do is we do not question God. Why me? Why this? Why that? Not once in that journey did I ever question. My mind was so set on my healing and getting better for my kids, for my family, because I'll tell you, when I was in that first hospital and I had no oxygen, I called my kids' names with every breath that I took. But yes, my religion has strengthened, or my faith, but we know nobody's perfect. We're still going to have hurdles in our way. It's like when you do, like one of our priests said, when you take a test or an exam, your teacher is not there.
Yes.
You must first make the mistakes and He will correct you. It's the same way with your faith and your religion. God puts hurdles in our way, or speed bumps, but it's to redirect you in the right direction. And that's all we can hold on to, is to say that I'm in this now, but I will come out of this stronger. Don't give up. We can't give up. Because we've been placed here for a purpose. We might not know what that purpose is. I don't know what my second chance meant, but we have to be in it. It's like you must be in the race to have an opportunity to win it. If you give up.
For me, I believe in, being born again, and I'm going to use the word being born again in this instance, because being born again, a lot of incidences happen where people die of COVID. You have cancer patients. There's a lot of medical things that happen where you can see this person is going to die. You have a second chance, like you say, where I believe it's such a close-knit thing that it's something in you gets born again. From being the Valencia that was born. And you said it so powerfully, out of your mother's womb, you were set apart, you were consecrated. God has ordained you. And now you have a second chance to life, being born again. And this time not from the womb of your mother, but from the womb or the feet of Jesus. what does it mean this time around that you're at his feet? And I know that you don't take this lightly, but you're at the feet and the mercy of Jesus. He's not just given you a second chance, but he's birthed something inside of you, Valencia, that I believe you are a voice to many people. I'm getting very emotional about this. You are a voice to those that have lost hope.
Look, even for myself, I mean, nobody's perfect.
Yes.
We're all gonna still make mistakes. I definitely am not. And it's like I have to speak about things. Otherwise, soos hulle sê, jy maak van jou hart 'n moordkuil. So that's why I speak about things. But one thing that people always speak about is forgiveness. 77 times 7, the Bible says, right?
Yes.
But there's little things that we hold back, and that it's sometimes because of the experience that I had, saying you need to forgive unconditionally.
Yes.
But we can't. We're not perfect. There's certain things that we still hold. I won't say a grudge, but we can't get to giving that forgiveness that we need to give. So that's why I'm saying, yes, I got a second chance. I want to just live every minute of every day. And like when you wake up, I'm breathing again today, because that is my journey now, to say I've got weak lungs, but I still want to do more. I push myself now. I walk, I go hike, even though when the muscles and nerves still struggle, but I push myself because I'm out, I'm breathing. I decided to go back to school, like I said to you earlier on. There's so much more that you want to do, but I just thank God every day for that second chance, and that's all I can do. Like, what is the purpose? Being here today with you, being able to share, telling people about this specific treatment that I received that nobody knew. I didn't know about it, so I suppose that's all I can, is like grace found me. That's what I say, Look, even for myself, I mean, nobody's perfect.
Yes.
We're all gonna still make mistakes. I definitely am not. And it's like I have to speak about things. Otherwise, soos hulle sê, jy maak van jou hart 'n moordkuil. So that's why I speak about things. But one thing that people always speak about is forgiveness. 77 times 7, the Bible says, right?
Yes.
But there's little things that we hold back, and that it's sometimes because of the experience that I had, saying you need to forgive unconditionally. But we can't. We're not perfect. There's certain things that we still hold. I won't say a grudge, but we can't get to giving that forgiveness that we need to give. So that's why I'm saying, yes, I got a second chance. I want to just live every minute of every day. And like when you wake up, I'm breathing again today, because that is my journey now, to say I've got weak lungs, but I still want to do more. I push myself now. I walk, I go hike, even though when the muscles and nerves still struggle, but I push myself because I'm out, I'm breathing. I decided to go back to school, like I said to you earlier on. There's so much more that you want to do, but I just thank God every day for that second chance, and that's all I can do. Like, what is the purpose? Being here today with you, being able to share, telling people about this specific treatment that I received that nobody knew. I didn't know about it, so I suppose that's all I can, is like grace found me. That's what I say,
I've heard the profound thing this morning about, the human heart, that the human heart weighs about 500 grams, if I'm not mistaken. And this morning we spoke about the heart and saying that there's so much that we keep inside this heart that doesn't even weigh 500 grams, but maybe weighs 80 k's, 20 k's, 100 k's. And our hearts are so overwhelmed because of the weight we carry. And sometimes it's not the weight of our own issues, our own struggles, but it's the weight of many others. Yeah. This time around, with everything that you've gone through, with having the close to death experience. I mean, if I look at your pictures, we're actually going to do a little video snippet of you when we introduce, and I'm going to ask my media team that we do a snippet of where you were and how you looked. When I looked at these pictures, I said to myself, how did Valencia live? How did she make it through what she has gone through? So when I speak about the heart, I want to speak about yours. We're in 2026. You've been given a second chance. If I look at your heart right now, yes, it's filled with a lot of gratitude, filled with a lot of joy. You spoke so profoundly that you said you use humor a lot. So I believe in this heart of yours, you're a carrier of so much happiness, so much joy. And all you want to do is just fill it up with more of things like that. You don't want to see disappointment. You don't want to see, a lot of bitterness, resentment, or whatever, but you want to see that. When you look at your heart now, from the Valencia that you used to be and the heart that you carried then, what do you think you've taken away now that you don't need anymore inside of you?
Well, I wish it was just happiness and humor, and humor is a coping mechanism for me. And like I said to you, when I face adversity, I try and use humor, but the heart is still heavy, because we still face struggles. And for me, like when you're saying it might be 80, 100, or even 200 Ks, the only way you're going to get that weight off, not your shoulders, your heart, is to talk about these things and to confide in people. Because carrying that causes stress. Stress, burnout is one of the biggest causes of disability, right? So in my work that I do, I deal a lot with disability. I was admitted as a disability patient by my employer, but I wish the heart was always light and full of joy and happy. But we're still going to face those struggles, Bronwyn. And yes, I don't do well with disappointment, and we cannot always plan for things to be positive, but it's the way we deal with it. It's the way we deal with it. You need to look for the positivity in it, but you can also say that I can't change the circumstances right now, but I can maybe look at it in a different way and find ways. What's the Alcoholic Anonymous thing? Grant me the serenity. Yes. So that's also something, it's a prayer that we say, to accept the things we cannot change. Give us that courage. So have that courage to change it. Not for yourself first and foremost, because if you're not going to take care and look after yourself, our biggest gift that you must remember to always pray for, it's not wealth, but we always ask God for health, because without your health, you saw the pictures, and in that state you don't think about, am I perfect? How do I look? Is my clothes on point? Is my hair, I lost all my hair. And you just have to do it, and try and be better for yourself, and then only you can do it for the next person. So you must love yourself first. You must speak about the things that you're going through, because suffering in silence is a killer.
It is a killer. And it's important to let go. It's very important. Valencia, today I'm telling you this interview, I definitely know there's a book inside of you. I mentioned this before we started, that there's a burning book, inside of you to give other people hope, because you've got resilience. And a voice like this, you cannot silence it, because where you come from, you cannot just leave this book on the cover, allow it to be filled with dust and not to be read or to be educated by other people. I want you to look into this camera, and I would love you to, we are in the month of August, it's Women's Month, and a lot of women look so beautiful celebrating Women's Day just the other day. But I'd like you to speak to women. There's a lot of women that are alive outside but dead inside. Again, like in an incubator, being completely numb from a lot of things, and you don't know how to carry on the next day. We have women that are going through stress, mental survival. They don't know what is going to happen to them. Women that don't know how to rearrange their lives because everybody else's weight is upon their shoulders. They have to take care of family, extended family. We have women going through divorce struggles, GBV violence. We have women that is struggling with health issues, sitting with fibroids and lumps and cancer issues and cervical cancer and breast cancer. We see breast cancer survivors in so many provinces, that speaks today about the awareness of cancer. But I want you to look into the camera and speak to women that are struggling. They are struggling physically, they are struggling emotionally, they are decaying inside of themselves. They don't know how to make it. I would like you to encourage them.
So ladies, happy Women's Month. And the one thing, as Bronwyn asked, I would say is we put on our makeup, we put a smile on our face, and we tell people that things are okay. But it's not. And I would say, have the courage to speak out. Don't make your heart a carrier of your burdens. I can say to you, if you have that one person, or if you find somebody that you can offload and speak about it and not suffer in silence. We all go through our struggles, whether it's physically, whether it's financially, whether it's health. That one person might just be able to help you. And speaking about the things that we're going through, it helps. Don't just keep it to yourself. And also want to say, when you're struggling, when you're facing adversity, I turn to humor. Find something inside of you that makes you feel better, that cheers you up. And then also I wanted to say, look at positive things and don't focus on the negative, because then your mindset will be focused on that negativity. And also what I wanted to say is pick yourself up. Yes, even if you're facing struggles, show up every day and do it for yourself first and foremost, because if you can't, you won't be able to do it for the next person, being it a family member, being it your spouse, your child, your siblings. So get up. Don't suffer in silence. Don't give up on yourself, because you must be able to look after yourself first. So get up. Be that warrior for you first and foremost. And I think that is something that you need to focus on yourself. Ladies, happy Women's Month, and don't give up on yourself.
Valencia, there's something that I want to share with you. I really want to honor you today. Your name needs to be honored. Your name needs to be honored with where you have come from. I definitely believe that you are a carrier of worth and of value. You have what I call, there's three things that I call it: the essence, the aura, and the unction of you as a woman. You are not a duplicate. You are the original. You are the original version of who Valencia Kamies has to be. And I want to leave you with this, that today you are honored by myself and the viewers. You are honored, you are valued, because you carry worth. And that is so profound. I want you to remember, continue to be yourself. You will always be accepted, like I say, around a table of acceptance. Because when people accept you, you can be yourself. And right now, in 2026, you're in the era of your life where you are just being yourself. You're not adding, you're not taking away, you are being yourself and allowing whatever God has planted in your life moving forward, just for you to be you. Because He's the one that has carried you, He's the one that has gracefully carried you, and you've trusted Him in your process. So I want to say thank you so much. We are honored. We are blessed. I know the viewers are going to not just look forward, but your interview is going to change lives of people that have listened this afternoon. So thank you so much for being our guest this afternoon on the Ladies of Hope, the Next Chapter podcast. I'm looking forward to more memorable, events with you. I'm looking forward to having you as an author of your own book. I'm looking forward for you to be interviewed at other podcasts, other radio stations, other media streams, whether it's online or in person. But I'm looking forward to your new journey. You are definitely a voice to be reckoned with, a force to be reckoned with. And I can definitely say you are a warrior. You're not just a woman, but you're an extraordinary woman. So thank you so much for today. I want to end off by saying this afternoon that when it comes to Valencia Kamies, this is an interview that I thoroughly enjoyed. I don't think as women we understand what it is that we carry. I don't think we understand who it is that we are until you meet women like Valencia Kamies. This is Coach Bronwyn from the Next Chapter podcast. And I just want to say, not just thank you, but I want to say this afternoon to you that, Ladies of Hope is what the brand is. It is what the organization is called. But if you look at the name Ladies of Hope, hope stands for a lot of things. But once again, we have a woman like Valencia Kamies that resonates hope. So this is Coach Bronwyn. Thank you so much.